Arcade Perfect, my Arse. Right, okay guys, welcome to another Arcade Perfect My Arse, and this week I'm taking a look at Paperboy, released in 1985 by Atari. One of my viewers asked me about this one, and I was absolutely convinced that I'd done an Arcade Perfect of this, but having checked, apparently I hadn't. So anyway, here it is. Now I've got to warn you, if you look at the video, you'll see it's quite a long video. There are probably about 10 to 15 different versions of this that I'm looking at. I didn't realise it had been released for quite as many systems. So this is the arcade one. Never actually seen less played the arcade version of this, other than in MAME. I know it did have sort of bicycle steering controls, bicycle handlebar controls. I don't think you could get a sit-down version. I think it was just a stand-up one. If truth be told, I'm not a big fan of the game. It's really nice. It is nice. I mean, I think it was one of the first Atari arcade games that used this sort of new technology. I mean, if you compare this game with other games like Zybots and APB, they've all got the really super high resolution graphics, and they've all got a very distinct sound, like 2-bin as well. That's another one. You know, Atari had really mastered the sort of digitized sound. But yeah, it's a beautiful looking game. It's not one that I really enjoy that much. That's possibly why I've never actually done an Arcade Perfect of it. But yeah, you know the rules. You play the part of a paperboy. You've got to deliver newspapers. Some houses are subscribers. Yeah, your little son, he's got a little post box. You need to make sure you deliver to them. Any houses that haven't subscribed, if you throw a newspaper successfully to the front door, they then become a subscriber, or a customer I should say. And basically the game ends once you lose customers. So I've lost about 6 or 7 customers there, and I've gained 2. So you've got to always ensure you keep customers going. I think this game would probably be better with the proper controls, like most of the arcade games. You know, it was a very, very unique control system, and trying to use a joystick just doesn't really work. Certainly not in the arcade one anyway. There's a wee bit kind of glitching going on in the video. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. Oh. Now if you get to the end of the street, I keep jumping there. If you get to the end of the street, you then get to take part in a sort of BMX off-road course, which I'm always complete pants at, which hopefully I'm going to demonstrate in a second. I always crash. You've got to try and go over the little ramps and try and not fall in the water. Yeah, apologies about I don't know why the graphics are glitching like that. The sound is excellent, good to say. Now surprisingly, I've been to quite a few of these play events, you know, sort of retro gaming events, and I've never ever seen a Paperboy cab there. Perhaps maybe they're not very reliable, I don't know. Anyway, that's the arcade one. Don't know why I'm putting my initials in, because I'm just going to switch it off anyway. Right, first home conversion we're going to look at is actually a really good one. This is the Commodore Amiga one. Don't recall actually ever playing this on the Amiga. Get out the road. Unfortunately, the Amiga has got the capable hardware of both graphics and sound. I mean, the sound is almost spot on, as are the graphics. Maybe not quite as many colours and not quite as high resolution, but it does a pretty good copy. Yeah, you've got to avoid all manner of obstacles, lawnmowers, dogs, potholes, fat guys in vests trying to run overturned, what do you call them, wheelbarrows and stuff like that, as well as cars. You've only got so many newspapers, so you've got to keep replenishing them. Oh, watch out for the remote control car. As you can see, I am completely pish at this game. Yeah, it's all just a bit too limiting for my liking, actually. But I know there's lots of people, it's a firm favourite with a lot of people. I think because I never ever got to play the arcade version. That's why I'm not a big fan of it. I think if you played it with the proper controls, it would make all the difference. I know this sounds a wee bit iffy. Again, I do all these videos using emulators because it's just so much easier. But unfortunately, you always get the odd occasion where the game doesn't play quite as well as it should. But yeah, that's the Commodore Amiga one. Really good version. There's not a lot wrong with that one. Avoid the dog! Dearie me. Right, next up is the Amstrad. This one was released by Elite Systems, as was the Amiga one, in 1987. So it was a couple of years after the arcade one came out. Really nice use of colour in the Amstrad one. Nice graphics as well. Oddly, there doesn't appear to be any sound. That's strange. I'm sure there is sound in the game. I just don't know why we're not getting it here. You see, right there is a fundamental flaw with this game on, well, for example, an 8-bit computer. When you're on the road like that, you have got absolutely no chance like that of avoiding the car. The play area is just too small. Even when you're on the path, you've not got very much time to react. But when you're on the road like that, you can't see what's coming. I mean, that was just, I avoided that more down to luck than anything else. So sometimes you've got to question whether a computer is capable of doing a job. I mean, graphically wise, this is fantastic. I mean, I have played the Spectrum one, I've also played the C64 one quite a lot, and I would probably say this is the most impressive home computer version, or at least 8-bit home computer version, I should say. It's not going to compete with the Amiga one, obviously, but yeah, graphically wise, this is superb. But it's more the design of the game itself. When you're on the road, you've simply got no chance of actually seeing what's coming up. But you know, 10 out of 10 for graphics. Apologies about the lack of sound. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, all in all, that is a pretty good version. Is it suited to the 8-bit machines? Probably not, but it's still a nice conversion. So that was the Amstrad one. Right, next up is the Apple II one, believe it or not. Oh dear, it looked promising from the title screen. I believe the Apple II and the C64 do share the same processor, because graphically wise, yeah, not colour wise, it does look quite similar. And as for the sound, well, not the sound, well the sound, yeah, that's abysmal, but as for the actual colours, that is hideous. Although I don't think Steve Jobs or Steve Wozniak, more accurately, ever envisaged that the Apple II was going to be designed to play games. It was released as a business, excuse me, a business machine. Yeah, that one is not the greatest, I have to say. I can't actually figure out, I can't be interested to know how many people actually bought Apple IIs to play games. Probably not very many. I mean, for starters, they were ridiculously expensive as well, you know, so if you wanted a... bollocks. Anyway, yeah, that's Apple II. That ain't the best. Right, next one. This is Atari ST. Now, I'm expecting good things for this one because it's an Atari game after all, and you would think that they are going to want to put a good version out for the computer. And looking at this, graphically wise, that is absolutely top notch. It's not got, you know, not quite got the same quality of sound as the Amiga one, but Atari ST wasn't really renowned for the sound hardware. Yeah, even in this version, you don't really get that much heads up of what's coming towards you when you're driving on the right hand side. Oh, that was close. And yes, you can hear a dog having a nightmare in the background, or he's dreaming, he's lying in the settee, sleeping, but every now and again they start dreaming, they start making these strange noises. So that it's not Paperboy, it is actually a real dog. Yeah, that's pretty good. That is a Atari ST one. Right, this one is on the BBC. I don't know if this game is on the Electron. I didn't actually check, to be honest with you. Again, programmed by Elite. It looks like he's driving he looks like he's on a unicycle actually. I was surprised to see this, to be honest with you, on the BBC. I thought I'll just check, just in case, and when I saw it I'm like, wow. Yeah, it's obviously utilising is that a 2-colour high-res mode or something? I don't know what that guy is doing, but it doesn't look like he's thinging the road. Anyway. Oh, there's a football. I don't remember seeing a football in the arcade one. Now see there, when he's across the far right like that, there is absolutely no danger you're going to be able to avoid any oncoming obstacles. I think if there's a record for the smallest gameplay Is that C5? I've just noticed that. That's actually a C5. I don't think it was a C5 in the arcade, because a C5 was it was a very British thing from Sir Clive Sinclair, so I don't think it would have been a C5 in the arcade, but it looks like they've just adapted the graphics. Is that a dog or is that a rat? Yeah, this looks more like what you'd expect it to look like on a handheld. Super high res, super slow as well, and super uncolourful. And there's not a whole lot of sound either. Yeah, when you're there, if a car comes, you are dead meat. Possibly the tiniest dog ever. But you know what, still good to see a version of Paperboy on the BBC. I wouldn't say it's one of the best, but I'm sure if you're a BBC owner you'd have been delighted to get that, because, you know, especially later on in the BBC's life, there weren't a whole lot of games getting released. Am I going to get smacked a motorbike here? I think I am. Yeah, anyway, that's the BBC one. Right, next up, I've not got great hopes for this one. This is the +4 oblique C16 version. Programmed by Atari. Sorry, copyright Atari. Right, is this game going to start anytime soon? Oh, it is. It's presented by Elite. Well, we also saw Green Beret in the C16. What on earth are you throwing? Looks like you're throwing a rugby ball or something. Dearie me. Quite why. I don't know whether the C16, I know the C16 was kind of a cut down version of the +4. I don't know where the +4 sat as far as hardware against the C64, but you know, quite why anybody would want to buy a +4 C16 when this was the standard of the game getting released in it. It is truly woeful. Though it's not a patch on Green Beret, as I said. If you've ever seen my my Green Beret video, I've got a series called Possibly the Worst Game Ever, and Green Beret on the C16 +4 would take some beating. It is hilariously bad. It really is. You couldn't even begin to imagine a commercial game being as bad as it was, but believe you me, it was. Go and check it out. Look at the colour clash going on there. I mean, that is just glitching all over the place as well. Is that just a hardware limitation? Like that is horrible. Why they think that was worthy of release is beyond me. You also crash when you try and go back onto the pavement. Yeah, anyway, that is awful. Right, next up is the Commodore 64. This was the one that I played. Call me picky, but I was never a fan of the huge, big, massive score. Why could they not have made that a bit smaller? Was it because they had the space? I would rather it have been a wee score than this huge, big, chunky. It tends to kind of dominate the screen, I think. Yeah, this one is a typical Commodore 64 game. It's expanded sprites, very, very chunky looking. But, you know what, it plays pretty well, and it's got quite a decent soundtrack, and it's also bloody hard. probably noticed as well, a lot of the games, there doesn't appear to be any consistency as to the level layout. You know, they seem to kind of do their own thing. They've all sort of got the graphics from the arcade, but they just seem to kind of make the levels up as they go along. Also, Paperboy, it's a very American thing. I mean, in the UK, yeah, you get your paper delivered, but the guy just puts it through your letterbox. They wouldn't get away with just throwing it on the ground. The fact that it pisses with rain most days in the UK wouldn't really help matters. Nice, that looks like a C5 as well, actually. And I don't remember that big fat jogger being in any other versions, but that's the C64 one. It's passable. Right, this is the Game Boy Color. So far so good. For a handheld one, it's actually not half bad. Yeah, the colours are, shall we say, slightly on the garish side, but I'm assuming this would probably play a bit better in actual handheld rather than because this has obviously expanded it way bigger than it was ever designed to be. I mean, the handheld, it was about a 2" by 2" screen or something. Rather disappointingly, there doesn't appear to have ever been a version of this for the Sharp X6 8000, because I think that would have probably done a fairly accurate representation. Get the burglar. It's just like your any normal street on a Saturday night. It's interesting, it's the only version to actually warn you of the training course. It usually just kind of launches you straight in. How many have I lost? Was it going to tell me? Cancelled, quite a few. Tuesday! As you can see at the start, you do get, there's 3 different streets you can pick from, and they vary in difficulty. I think you also get different graphics. You know, I've never ever tried to play in anything other than Easy Street. So I really need to have a look at that, because I dare say you do get different graphics, different layout. Smack! Anyway, that's the Game Boy Color one. And moving from one handheld onto another, this next one coming up is the Atari Lynx. And again, given it's an Atari machine and it's an Atari game, I'm reckoning this is going to be not bad. Apologies about the sound. I mean, again, it's an emulator, so I'm not convinced that the sound is what it should be. Graphically, it's really nice. Now, what I like about it, they've made everything that bit smaller, so the gameplay area is quite wide. So you have got a wee bit more room to manoeuvre. A lot of the versions, because of the type of game it is, they feel very claustrophobic. You know, there's not a lot of room. Wow, bugger. There's not a lot of room to manoeuvre, but But yeah, the sound in this emulator isn't the greatest. I'm guessing it probably sounded better on an actual bit of hardware. It's a system I've never owned actually, never ever owned a Lynx. The problem with a lot of these older handhelds, not so much the modern ones, but the original older ones, they either were non-backlit, or in the case of the Lynx in the Game Gear, they were backlit, but the screens were bloody awful, and they absolutely guzzled batteries. So nowadays, if I'm going to play a Game Gear game or a Lynx game, I'll just put it on my little Android handheld, and I'll get to play it in a far better experience than if it was on the original hardware. So that is one example of where technology has actually enhanced the experience of sort of older games. Yeah, I don't believe the sound would be as horrible sounding as it does in this. But you can still make out the little sound effects. They're still in there. But graphically this is really good. Scrolling's pretty good. Nice and colourful as well. Wow! Yeah, that was Atari Lynx, and this one is the Sega Master System. First impressions, looks very good. There's that infernal dog, though he's now poodles obviously hate me. Again, I like how they've gone for a smaller kind of sprite, so there's a lot more room to kind of move about on. The graphics are actually very good. Never know whether the idea of this game, I mean I know the idea of the game is to deliver newspapers, should you go really slow like I'm doing? Because that's the thing, I don't think there's any time limit, is there? Nah, there's not, because at the end of the day you're always moving forward, so it's not like you can actually stop dead. Get away you sod. Yeah, the Americans had Paperboy, we had Trashman. That sums up the British society to anybody. Emptying bins. Yeah, I think I've had my fill of Paperboy games. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the game, and having played, I don't know how many, by the time this video finishes, about 20 different versions, I think. I can't see myself returning to Paperboy any time in the future. Though I might give the arcade one a go and try it, put it on Infinite Lives or something and try it on the more difficult levels. Another game that came out around about the same time was 720, the skateboarding one, again by Atari, but it used a trackball and it always looked really complicated to play. But anyway, listen, that is a Master System one. That is a pretty good attempt. Next one was the Master System's rival, the NES. Now normally the NES does its own thing. It takes the arcade game and it completely turns it around, and it adds bits and chops bits, and it basically remixes. It's usually based on an idea. Let's Let's have a look and see what kind of baddies we've got here. Doesn't really look like an NES game. It actually looks too high resolution. Is it running in a different resolution or something? I'm not overly keen on the colour. Yeah, graphically wise, it's a bit. But then, you know, it's easy to sit here and be super critical of all these old games, because I'm sitting looking at, you know, 20 different versions and I can compare it with better ones. But if you were a kid back in 1986, 1987, whenever it was, and you had an NES and you had this, you would have probably been quite happy with it. And as I always say, when, you know, I do from time to time absolutely pan games, and especially some of the older games written in BASIC, and it's easy to be super, what the earth is that guy doing? We don't want to know. It's easy to be super critical, but you need to understand that it was a product of its time, and to go back, you know, back then it wouldn't have seemed that bad. It was probably acceptable back then, but yeah, Paperboy calls it quits. That is the NES one. It's alright. I'm not overly keen on the quite a sort of dull looking one. Next up is the PC DOS one. What is surprising is actually how colourful this one looks. It actually reminds me very much of the Amstrad one. Again, there seems to be a complete lack of sound. But yeah, for a very early PC game, it's not bad. Although again, it suffers from the that was close. The play area being really small, especially when you're on the far right hand side on the road. You've got absolutely no chance to react to any car. Any car that appears on the screen, you're going to be dead. It's quite interesting for probably people a bit younger who maybe only ever know PCs. When they look at PC software nowadays, you know, modern PCs blow even things like the PlayStation 4 out the water. But the early PCs like this were really prehistoric, and they simply could not compete with like the Commodore Amiga and Mega Drive. But then PCs were, you know, they were primarily business machines. They were never really designed with games in mind. So yeah, all in all, that's actually not too bad. That is a PC DOS one. Right, second from end, guys, is the Sega Mega Drive one. This was released in 1991. Now, I have played this before. I've played it on my real Mega Drive, and if I remember really, it's pretty damn good. Yeah, you know, you can see right away just how good the graphics are. Everything is nice and miniature. It looks like the arcade one. There's a nice big, I mean, look at the difference when you're on the road here. You've got plenty of time to see what's coming, and it's the only one that I think has got speech in it. Oh, that was close. There was a sequel to it called sorry, I can't even say it properly. Imaginatively titled Paperboy 2. No, I've never actually looked at that. And I'm continuing my consistent ability to be absolutely shite at the training course thing at the end.
Don't tell my boss.
The speech really adds to the game though, it's really nice. Never got a release on the SNES, I notice. Or if it did, was it in Japan possibly, but I certainly couldn't find it anywhere.
Back off. This is smart.
Yeah, all those sound effects of the various animals and whatnot really adds to the overall arcade experience. Kill the drunk. Aye. Right, anyway, listen, that was the Mega Drive one. Very, very final version, you'll be pleased to know, is the ZX Spectrum one. Now, I have played this before, and if I remember, it's pretty good, all things considered. Right, how do we start? Kempson, yeah, okay, 0 to start. Monday. If I remember rightly, I think this game was in the charts for something like 5 years, or was it Robocop? I'm sure Robocop was in the charts for the longest, but I think Paperboy was a close second. But yeah, typical Spectrum version, monochrome, but you know what, they use the hardware perfectly. They don't try and overly complicate it. They design the game around the hardware, and generally arcade conversions in the Spectrum work pretty well. So anyway, we've looked at a plethora of Paperboys. Some have been absolutely abysmal. The C16, PC are two notable mentions. The 8-bit versions aren't bad. They're all pretty good, to be fair. I don't think there's any one standout version. Graphically wise, the Amstrad one looks the nicest. But, you know, the C64 and Spectrum one do a pretty good version as well. The BBC one is quite an odd one. It's high resolution graphics, but you know, at least it's on it. Handheld wise, the Atari Lynx is pretty good. The Game Boy Color one, not quite so good. Master System one is very good. NES one is a bit kinda drab. I'm not a big fan of the colours. And then you've got the Mega Drive one, which does an amazing version. So I think in reverse order, I think I'm going to have to go for, let's see, Amstrad. I think in third position I'm going to go for the Sega Master System. That is very, very good. In second position, in silver, I'm going to have, it's going to be a joint Atari ST and Commodore Amiga, because both of them, they're pretty much, yeah, the Amiga sound is a bit better because it's obviously better sound hardware, but I'm going to give them joint second place. But my favourite version of this game, without a shadow of doubt, is going to be the Sega Mega Drive. It is virtually arcade perfect. It plays really, really well. It looks the part. The graphics look arcade perfect. The sound is excellent as well. So I think if you want to play a good home port, then go for the Sega Mega Drive. This game is also available on multiple compilations for your consoles, PlayStation 2, possibly even the PlayStation 3 I think as well. There's been various Atari compilations that you can play on as well. So anyway guys, that is another Arcade Perfect My Arse drawing to a close. Thank you very much for watching. If there's a game you want to see featured, then please just put your comments below. And finally, thank you very, very much for watching.